ಹಾಯ್ ಹಲೋ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನಲ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಇನ್ವರ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರಿಗ್ನೋಮೆಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ನ KCET ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ನ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ 5 years ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ನ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಇದ್ರ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ KCET ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಗೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ PYQsನ ಅರೌಂಡ್ 10 years PYQsನ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ನು ಯಾರ್ಯಾರ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ನೋಡಿಲ್ವೋ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಗೋ ಥ್ರೂ ದಟ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಹೌ ಟು ಟ್ಯಾಕಲ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋಸ್. ಸೊ ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವರ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರಿಗ್ನೋಮೆಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನೀವು ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ನ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಹಾಗೆ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಗೆ ನೀವು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ 5 years ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ನ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ, you all have to know the basic concepts which is related to inverse trigonometric functions, and I hope you already have studied all this concept for your PU board exams anta. Based on that, you could see a principal value branches tabular column here where the function you have taken is inverse trigonometric functions of sine inverse x, cos inverse, tan inverse, and so on, and we have their specific domain and range here. So in range now we also call it as principal value branches. Why are we selecting only this? Because in this interval the function is 1 1 and on 2, that is it is invertible anta. That is why we select this specific interval. So along with that you have other intervals where it is 1 1 and on 2, that is invertible, but these are considered as principal value branches. So remember, this is one such important tabular column which is required for your CET point of view. So idondu power short tara act ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಾ. And apart from that, next is about properties of inverse trigonometric functions. So it's very simple, you don't have to worry that ನಿಮಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೈನ್ ಇನ್ವರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವಲ್. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ವೇರಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಸೈನ್ ಇನ್ವರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಯುವರ್ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ರೇಂಜ್ ತರ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಸೈನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್, ಕಾಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್, ಟ್ಯಾನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡೊಮೇನ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ರೇಂಜ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ರೇಂಜ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ನೀವು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಯುಲರ್ ಕಾಲಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ರೇಂಜ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಂತ. ಅದನ್ನೇ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಬರ್ಕೋತೀರಾ. So same thing you will be repeating here. So this acts as like your range, that is the output. So the same values you will start repeating here, the interval for x. And then comes one important formula, very important. Sin inverse x plus cos inverse x is equal to pi by 2 whenever you have the value of x in between minus 1 comma 1. And then tan inverse x plus cot inverse x is equal to pi by 2, and this obeys for all the numbers, real numbers. Secant inverse x plus cosecant inverse x is equal to pi by 2. This is possible only when x is greater than or equal to 1 or x is less than or equal to minus 1. So then comes odd and even functions. Basically sin inverse of minus x is minus sin inverse x, where x is ranging from minus 1 comma 1. Cos inverse of minus x is written as pi minus cos inverse x. Basically pi minus cos inverse x ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ವಾಡ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ವಾಡ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಸ್ ಥೀಟಾ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಪೈ ಮೈನಸ್ ಕಾಸ್ ಇನ್ವರ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದಿರೋದು. ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ವೆರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ minus 1 comma 1, and tan inverse of minus x is minus tan inverse x for all real numbers. X belongs to all real numbers. And then again the same repetition, in first 3 set ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು sin inverse of sin x ಅಂತ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ you got the answer as x. Same thing sin of sin inverse x is equal to x ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, again your output, see sin theta is equal to x ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವಾಗ ನೀವೇನ್ ತಗೋತೀರಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ರೇಂಜ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ರೇಂಜ್ ಇದೆ that will be for your normal trigonometric ratios. So x is in between minus 1 comma 1, and here also cos inverse x equal to x andre x is in between minus 1 comma 1. Tan of tan inverse x equal to x, where x belongs to real numbers. And then comes few important formulas. Sin inverse x is equal to cos inverse root 1 minus x square. ಇದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು taking substitution for x value. and you should remember this the value for x from where to where it ranges ಅಂತ, because ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ನ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ based on this. They'll give you this and they'll ask you x belongs to ಅಂತ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So I'll be discussing those type of questions later. So then comes tan inverse of 1 by x can be written as cot inverse x where x is greater than 0. Cos inverse 1 by x is taken as secant inverse x where x is greater than or equal to 1 or x is less than or equal to minus 1. And sin inverse 1 by x is cosecant inverse x where x is same thing, x is greater than or equal to 1 or x is less than or equal to minus 1. Basically ನೀವು ಇದ್ರದ್ದು values of x ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ವೇರಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ you are writing it. So based on these formulas, ಈ formulas ಎಲ್ಲ like it's don't treat it as formulas, ಇದನ್ನ logically ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ try ಮಾಡಿ, then the questions will be easier for you to understand. So based on this, let us start with previous year questions. If there are any other short tricks in between questions solve ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. So let us first start with 2025 year ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿರುವಂತ question. Very simple. So we'll start with first question. Okay, we'll start with first question. Secant square tan inverse 2 plus cosecant square cot inverse 3 is equal to, you're supposed to find the value of that. ತುಂಬಾ simple. ನೀವು already ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ formulas. 1 plus tan square theta is equal to secant square theta. You all know this, right? 1 plus tan square theta is equal to secant square theta. So now making use of this formula, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ನೀವು secant square tan inverse 2 ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So what we will do, we will consider theta is equal to tan inverse 2. Tan inverse 2. Okay. So ಆಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ tan theta is equal to 2 ಆಯ್ತು. So now you have the formula 1 plus tan square theta is equal to secant square theta. So this implies 1 plus tan theta value ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ 2. So tan square theta ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ 4. This is equal to secant square theta. Secant square theta. So 1 plus 4 gives you 5 which is equal to secant square theta. ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ secant square tan inverse 2 ಗೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಏನು ಬಂದಿದೆ 5. ಹಾಗೆ ನೀವು cosecant square cot inverse 3 ಗೆ you know the formula 1 plus cot square theta is equal to cosecant square theta. Okay. So now if you take theta is equal to cot inverse 3, this implies 3 is equal to cot theta. So now go and substitute here. This implies 1 plus 3 square is equal to cosecant square theta. So 1 plus 3 square and the 3 square is 9, 9 plus 1, 10, which is equal to 10. So in the place of cosecant square theta, you can write it as 10. So what you should do, both of them, you're supposed to add. So initially you got 5 as the answer, now you're getting 10. So the answer will be 5 plus 10, which is equal to 15. So very, very simple question. Option C, 15 is the answer. You just make use of two formulas. 1 plus tan square theta is secant square theta and 1 plus cot square theta is cosecant square theta. So moving on to the next question. So in the year 2025, one more question which is being asked here. 2 cos inverse x is equal to sin inverse 2x root of 1 minus x square is valued for. As I have already told, see this point is already mentioned here. You could see in this pattern, they're asking you the question in this pattern where the x ranges from which value to which anta. So illi instead of giving 2 sin inverse x, it is being given as 2 cos inverse x. I'll show you how to go with this problem anta. It's very simple. So second question. So in the LHS part, you have 2 cos inverse x. So basically cos inverse x values will be in between 0, pi, isn't it? Cos inverse x range is between 0, pi. Now you are in need of 2 cos inverse x. So 0 less than or equal to 2 cos inverse x less than or equal to 2 pi. Okay. So 2 cos inverse x is in between 0 and 2 pi. This is about your LHS part. Now moving on to RHS. You have sin inverse 2x root of 1 minus x square. So I'll write sin inverse. Okay. 2x. So now you have cos inverse x. So 0 less than or equal to cos inverse x less than or equal to pi. So if I treat this cos inverse x as theta, that means theta is equal to cos inverse x. So this implies x is equal to cos theta. I'll replace the value of x here. So you will get 2 cos theta root of 1 minus cos square theta. So here you have 1 minus x square. So you'll get 1 minus cos square theta. 1 minus cos square theta is nothing but sine square theta. Now square and square root gets cancelled and you will be left out with sine theta. So now again 2 sine theta cos theta is a standard formula, which is sine inverse sine 2 theta, isn't it? So now you got sine inverse function. And also we know that sine inverse is in between minus pi by 2. Sine inverse value is in between minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 based on the principal value branch. So now this implies minus pi by 2 less than or equal to. So now according to this we'll get 2 theta. This is less than or equal to pi by 2. Okay. So now observe carefully. This is minus pi by 2 less than or equal to. Since theta is cos inverse x, I'll replace. You get 2 cos inverse x less than or equal to pi by 2. You have first condition with for 2 cos inverse x and you have one more condition for 2 cos inverse x. So let us consider a number line and mark these points which has been obtained. I'll take this as minus pi by 2, 0, pi by 2 and 2 pi. According to first condition, 2 cos inverse x is in between 0 and 2 pi. That is in between these 0 and 2 pi. And according to second condition, 2 cos inverse x is in between minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. That is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Now combining these two equations, which is a common solution for both of them. So this part is the common solution for after combining both the equations. So now what do you obtain? You after combining both the inequalities, sorry, not equations, inequalities, you obtain 2 cos inverse x is in between 0 and pi by 2. Okay, 2 cos inverse x is from 0 to pi by 2. So now this is nothing but, so 2 cos inverse x is from 0 to pi by 2. You wanted the value for x. So you basically are in need of value for x. Okay. So now what do you get? 0 less than or equal to 2 cos inverse x less than or equal to pi by 2. That means 0 less than or equal to cos inverse x less than or equal to pi by 4. That means cos inverse x belongs to 0 comma pi by 4. So this implies x belongs to. So now cos pi by 4 is 1 by root 2. Cos 0 is 1. So it belongs to 1 by root 2 comma 1. So as you can see here, which is the right option? Option D, 1 by root 2 comma 1. As soon as you get 0 comma pi by 4, you can stop till here and you can just go with the marking of the answer. So 0 cos 0 is 1 and cos pi by 4 is 1 by root 2. So you can just mark this option D. So next, moving on to the next question. So it's very simple question. 2024 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿರುವಂತ question. So what has been asked here? They have told cos inverse x plus cos inverse y plus cos inverse z is equal to 3 pi. Then the value of this condition is. Okay. So this is possible only when you add pi plus pi plus pi. So in the right side you have 3 pi, isn't it? So you will write pi plus pi, which is 3 pi. So that means you are telling cos inverse x is equal to pi, which is equal to cos inverse y, which is equal to cos inverse z. So when do you get cos inverse x as pi? When you can just write this as x is equal to cos pi. So you get x is equal to, what is the value of cos pi? Minus 1. So similarly, y is equal to z is equal to minus 1. So you get x, y, z values as minus 1. Now it's very simple for you. Just go and substitute here. So when you substitute in the place of x, y, z, based on this you get x. That means minus 1 into y plus z. Minus 1 plus minus 1. So minus 1 is minus 2 plus minus 1 into again minus 2 plus minus 1 into again you will get minus 2. So minus 1 into minus 2 is 3 plus 3 plus 3. So the answer will be 9. 1 second. X into y plus z. I'm sorry. It's not 3 plus 3 plus 3. It is 1 into 2, which is 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is equal to 6. So 2 ones are 2, minus into minus plus. I'm sorry. So it's not 3 plus 3 plus 3. It is 2, 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is 6. So you can just eliminate this. So you get the option C, which is 6 is the answer. Okay. It's very simple. And then comes next question. We'll move on to the next question now. Okay. Moving on to next question. You may feel that this question is lengthy, but when you solve, it is actually an easy question. So you have cot inverse root 1 minus sin x plus root 1 plus sin x whole divided by root 1 minus sin x minus root 1 plus sin x. So basically, how do you solve whenever you have root based problems? You solve it using rationalizing denominator. So when I go with rationalizing denominator, root 1 minus sin x plus root 1 plus sin x whole divided by root 1 minus sin x plus minus root 1 plus sin x into, now just rationalize the denominator by changing its sign, root 1 minus sin x plus root 1 plus sin x divided by root same thing 1 minus sin x plus root 1 plus sin x. Okay, so now cot inverse, just multiply the numerators and denominators. When you look at the numerator, it is of the form a plus b into a plus b. So you get a plus b whole square. So a plus b whole square, that is a square plus b square plus 2ab. A square, if you do 1 minus root 1 minus sin x whole square. So square and square root gets cancelled. You left out with 1 minus sin x. Plus similarly b square, you left out with 1 plus sin x plus 2 into a into b. 2 into root 1 minus sin x into 1 plus sin x whole divided by a minus b into a plus b, which is a square minus b square. So a square will give you 1 minus sin x minus b square will give you 1 plus sin x. If you simplify this, you will be getting the answer. Cot inverse of, look at this, minus sin x gets cancelled and 1 plus 1 will be 2. So here also you have 2, and if you add, you'll get 2. Let us take out 2 as common. So you get 1 plus. Now look at this. 1 minus sin x, root 1 minus sin x into root 1 plus sin x. So it will be 1 plus sin x into 1 minus sin x under the root. So again it is of the form a plus b into a minus b, which is a square minus b square, which is 1 minus sin square x. So if you get 1 minus sin square x, it will be root cos square x. Okay, whole divided by, here what gets simplified, 1 minus sin x. When you multiply minus inside, you get minus 1 minus sin x. So 1 and minus 1 will get cancelled. Minus sin x and minus sin x will be minus 2 sin x. Okay, so now this is equal to cot inverse. You can cancel 2. 1 plus, now square and square root gets cancelled. 1 plus cos x can be written as 2 cos square x by 2, which is an half angle formula. And you have minus sin x can be, 2 is been already cancelled. Sin x can be written as sin x by 2, 2 sin x by 2. 2 cos square x by 2, 2 sin x by 2 into cos x by 2. Okay, so this 1 plus cos x is written as 2 cos square x by 2. Now again you will cancel 2 and 2, and then you will get, and also you can cancel cos x by 2 cos x by 2. You will be obtained with, remained with cot inverse of cos x by 2 by sin x by 2, which is nothing but cot x by 2, but you have one negative sign here, so you get minus cot x by 2. So now since you have minus cot x by 2, if you just write minus x by 2, that doesn't belong to the principal value branch of cot inverse x. So how do you write this? You make use of a simple technique, which is this will be your theta, pi minus theta, pi plus theta, and 2 pi minus theta. So cot is negative in which quadrant? Second quadrant. So I'll write this as cot inverse pi minus theta. The value of theta here is x by 2. Since cot is negative in second quadrant, so where you get minus, that is why we are using this one. Pi minus theta value x by 2. Cot of pi minus x by 2. Okay. So now what will you get? Cot inverse cot of pi minus x by 2. This is nothing but pi minus x by 2. So which is the right option? Option C, pi minus x by 2 is the correct answer. It may feel that it is a lengthy problem, but as and when you simply start simplifying, it seems easy. If you are good at these formulas of angle, this problem will be very easy for you to tackle. So next, moving on to the question from the year 2022. 2022. Okay. So next, from the year 2022, fifth question, domain of cos inverse greatest integer function. So see, it's very interesting. Cos inverse greatest integer function. So basically we know cos inverse x domain is from -1, 1. And you all know the definition for greatest integer function. If I consider greatest integer function of -1, the answer will be -1. If I consider greatest integer function of 1, the answer is 1. So similarly, if I consider greatest integer function of 1.99999, the answer will also be 1, isn't it? That means which is less than 2. So now I can write this as cos inverse greatest integer function x is in between -1, because greatest integer of function of -1 is -1, is less than, see, if you take 1.999 also, you will get the answer as 1. You are supposed to get the answer as 1, isn't it? So you'll just take it is less than 2. Okay, so whatever the number less than 2 and greater than 1, you will be getting greater than or equal to 1, you will be getting the greatest integer function as 1 only. So that means you will write cos inverse of greatest integer function x is in between -1, 2. So option D, -1, 2. So next, moving on to next question. A simple question where you just substitute its values. Sixth one, you have cos of cot inverse minus root 3 plus pi by 6. As I have already told you, cot is negative here, but the principal value branch of cot inverse x is 0, pi. You have cot inverse minus root 3. So you again make use of that technique, theta, pi minus theta, pi plus theta, 2 pi minus theta. So cot is negative in the second quadrant. So you make use of pi minus theta. So you get cot inverse of minus root 3 is equal to cot inverse of cot of. So what value of cot you will get root 3 as the answer? It is 30 degree, which is pi by 6. So your theta value will be pi by 6. So listen, cot pi by 6 is root 3. Okay, since you have negative sign, you are making use of this technique. That is pi minus theta. Theta value is pi by 6. Okay, so then you will get this implies cos of, this is nothing but pi minus pi by 6. Cot inverse of cot pi minus pi by 6 will give you pi minus pi by 6. So you can replace cot inverse minus root 3 by pi minus pi by 6. So cos of pi minus pi by 6 plus pi by 6. Okay, minus pi by 6 plus pi by 6 gets cancelled. You're left out with cos pi. The value of cos pi is equal to -1. So which is the right option? Option D is the correct answer. Next, 2021, that is seventh question. That is also a simple question. Tan inverse 1 by root 3. You have sine 5 pi by 2. I'll write this as sine of 2 pi plus pi by 2. Okay, when you cross multiply, 2 2s are 4. 4 pi plus pi is 5 pi. So you get 5 pi by 2 into sine inverse cos of sine inverse root 3 by 2. For what value of sine you get the answer as root 3 by 2? It is pi by 3. So you write sine inverse root 3 by 2 as pi by 3. So now tan inverse 1 by root 3 sine of 2 pi plus pi by 2. So sine 360 plus theta. So it will not, the sine trigonometric will not get changed to any other. It will remain as sine only. And then if it is sine 360 plus theta, it is first quadrant where sine is positive. So you again get sine pi by 2 into cos 60 degrees 1 by 2. So sine inverse 1 by 2. This is tan inverse 1 by root 3. Sine 90 is 1. Sine inverse 1 by 2, the answer is, for what angle you will get sine as 1 by 2? For pi by 6. So now tan inverse 1 by root 3 into pi by 6. What is the tan inverse 1 by root 3? It is pi by 6 into pi by 6. The answer will be pi square by 36. So tan inverse 1 by root 3 is obtained when the angle of tan is pi by 6. So you get pi square by 36. The option is not been mentioned here. So basically the option for this one is pi square by the option for this is pi square by 36, which is not been given in the option. So it's the correct answer is pi square by 36. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Moving on to the further question. Eighth one, domain of f of x is equal to cos inverse root x minus 1. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. F of x. Okay, f of x is equal to cos inverse root x minus 1. You have to find the domain of cos inverse function. Basically, what is the domain of cos inverse x? Cos inverse x domain is in between minus 1 comma 1. Okay, so since they have given cos inverse root x minus 1, we all know that inside the square root, the function, whatever the function, should always be greater than or equal to 0. That means x minus 1 must be greater than or equal to 0. So now what happens? Cos inverse root x minus 1. The function given is cos inverse root x minus 1. Here root x minus 1 is less than or equal to 1. So basically, whenever it is cos inverse x, the value is in between, the x value is in between minus 1 comma 1. Okay. So now root x minus 1 is less than or equal to 1, but greater than or equal to 0. Okay now, because we know that for a square root function, we should always have the number within it as positive. So then you get 0 less than or equal to x minus 1, which is less than or equal to 1, 0 less than or equal to, so now you'll add 1 on both the inequalities, less than or equal to 1 plus 1. This implies 1 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 2. So which is the right option? Option D, 1 comma 2 is the correct answer. So next comes domain of f of x. We are done with this for the question 2020. So with this we have completed for past 5 years questions of inverse trigonometric functions, and further next videos will be moving on to the next questions from other previous years, that is for 2019 to 2014. So in order to get regular updates, kindly subscribe the channel and just share these videos to your friends who are preparing for KCET, and let me know if you're finding difficulty with any topics or any chapters which you are in need of, and I'll be making videos based on those chapters in coming days.